2021 is over, but some of the most astonishing scientific discoveries didn't make it to the news headlines. Many projects have left the lab but did not reach the wider audience. This, though, is a list of the top scientific stories that will both make you feel proud and also raise awareness for the most serious but unheard stories. Today's episode is the third of the Last Year in Science series, marking the second birthday of How&Why. The full playlist is at the top right corner of your screen, as always. Now, without further ado, let's hit that list. Perseverance notches first on Mars. NASA took a huge step forward in exploring the Red Planet after the rover Perseverance landed safely on Mars last February. Scientists outfitted the vehicle with an ultralight helicopter that successfully flew in the thin Martian atmosphere. It has the size of a laptop and is called MOXIE. It successfully converted carbon dioxide to oxygen and sampling elements that successfully collected rocks from the planet's floor. All of the achievements will lend themselves to a better understanding of Mars and how to investigate it in the future. How this helped the scientific community step forward and how it affected us. The flight success will give scientists clues on how to build larger helicopters for Mars. In addition, the oxygen creation will help them come up with grander plans for conversion devices, and the rocks will make their way back to Earth for analysis when they are picked up on another future mission. Although this was a big step by its own on exploring the Red Planet, some other countries had major projects as well. The United Arab Emirates Hope Space probe successfully entered orbit around the planet and is studying the Martian atmosphere and weather. China's Zhurong rover landed on Mars in May and is exploring the planet's geology and looking for signs of water. With these ongoing missions, scientists around the world are learning more and more about what the planet is like and how we might better explore it, maybe one day in person. Excuse the interruption. Before we continue, you can be part of this video. Ask me your questions down in the comments about science, history, computers, and I will make a video featuring you. Let's continue. Climate change wreaks havoc on coral reefs. Increasing natural disasters, forest fires, droughts, and heat waves may be the most noticeable events spurred by climate change. The warming Earth has reached a peak in such weather-related events over the last 50 years, according to a 2021 report by the World Meteorological Organization. But one of the biggest impacts brought by climate change over the past decade has occurred underwater. Increasing temperatures cause coral reefs to discard the symbiotic algae that help them survive, and they bleach and die. Last year, a major report from the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network announced that the oceans lost about 14% of their reefs in the decade after 2009, mostly because of climate change. In November, a new research showed that less than 2% of the coral reefs of the Great Barrier Reef, which is the world's largest coral formation, escaped bleaching since 1998. That news came out just 2 months after a different study stated that half of the coral reefs have been lost since the 1950s, in part due to climate change. How this affected us? The reef declines impact fisheries, local economies based on tourism, and coastal developments, which lose the offshore storm protection zone provided by the coral structures. Scientists say if temperatures continue to rise, coral reefs are in serious danger. Although if humans reduce carbon emissions rapidly now, more reefs will have a better chance of surviving. The World Health Organization approves first malaria vaccine for kids. Last October, the WHO approved the first vaccine against malaria. The approval was not only a first for that disease, but also for any parasitic disease. The project was 30 years in the making, as Mosquirix, the brand name for the drug, cost more than 750 million since 1987 to develop and test. Malaria kills nearly 500,000 people a year, including 260,000 children under the age of 5. Most of these victims live in sub-Saharan Africa. The new vaccine fights the deadliest of 5 malaria pathogens and the most prevalent in Africa, and is administered to children under 5 in a series of 4 injections. Like all vaccines though, this is not a silver bullet. It prevents only about 30% of severe malaria cases. But one modeling study showed that it still could prevent 5.4 million cases and 23,000 deaths in children under 5 each year. Experts say that the vaccine is a valuable tool that should be used in conjunction with existing methods, such as drug combination treatments, and insecticide-treated bed nets to combat the deadly disease. The Dragon Man, a new species of humans. The backstory of the skull that scientists used to suggest there was a new species of later Pleistocene human during Homo sapiens and Neanderthals created a lot of fuss. After the fossil was discovered at a construction site in China nearly 90 years ago, a family hid it until a farmer gave it to a university museum in 2018. Since then, scientists in China pored over the skull, analyzing its features, conducting uranium series dating, and using X-ray fluorescence to compare it to other fossils. These techniques helped them to declare it a new species of archaic human. They dubbed the discovery with Homo longi, or Dragon Man. The skull had a large cranium capable of holding a big brain, a thick brow, and almost square eye sockets, details that scientists used to differentiate it from other Homo species. Some scientists, though, questioned whether the find warranted designation of a new species. As Michael Petralio told the Smithsonian magazine back in June, it's exciting because it is a really interesting cranium, and it does have some things to say about human evolution and what's going on in Asia. But it's also disappointing that it's 90 years out from discovery, and it is just an isolated cranium, and you're not quite sure exactly how old it is or where it fits. Other scientists supported the new species designation, and so the debate continues. That is, until more fossils are discovered that help to fill in the holes of the human history. Before we head to the top scientific discovery of 2021, let's see some honorable mentions. After years of delays, the James Webb Space Telescope was finally launched on December 24, 2021. 23,000-year-old footprint discoveries moved key dates 10 millennia earlier back for humans in Americas. The race of space tourism heats up with Richard Branson setting a competitive market for space tourism. Number 1. Humans are affecting the evolution of animals. New research published last year shows that humans have both directly and indirectly affected how animals evolve. In perhaps the most prominent example of humans impacting animal evolution, a science study found a sharp increase in tuskless African elephants after years of poaching. During the Mozambican Civil War from 1977 to 1992, poachers killed so many of the giant mammals with tusks that those females without the long ivory teeth were more likely to pass on their genes. Before the war, 20% were tuskless. Today, almost 50% of the female elephants are tuskless. Males who have the genetic makeup for tusklessness die, likely before they are born. And killing animals isn't the only way humans are impacting evolution. A large study in Trends in Ecology and Evolution found that animals are changing shape to deal with rising temperatures. For example, over various time periods, bats grew bigger wings and rabbits sprouted longer ears, both likely to dissipate more heat into the surrounding air. More evidence along those lines was published later in the year in Science Advances. A 40-year study of birds in a remote intact patch of Amazon rainforest showed 77 species weighted less on average, and many had longer wings than they used to. Scientists said that changes likely occurred due to rising temperatures and changes in rainfall. So these were the top stories in a scientific nutshell. Next week I will upload a new type of video, so subscribe today to get notified. In the meantime, you can watch other stuff from here and there about general knowledge, history, science, computers and other cool stuff. I'm Minos, this is How and Why, and I wish you all a happy new year.